Prague across the river after a long day driving wonky B roads.
After a long day of driving, we arrived in Prague and went for a walk into town. We wandered along a big canal. There were massive barges that had been converted into restaurants and bars. We saw some big white swans that were paddling up the river.
Prague was jam-packed with tourists and we had to be careful not to lose each other in the crowd. We walked across the Charles Bridge and watched a funny old man playing a homemade instrument.
I think there's some people in there getting stuff eaten off their feet by little fish.
We walked through the hordes of people and back across the bridge and through narrow streets before arriving at the astronomical clock. The rain got heavier in the square, so we started to walk back to the motorhome in the rain.
Once we'd arrived back at the motorhome, we had lunch, then set a course for a small town called Tabor. When we arrived, we walked up the steep hill to check out the old town square.
Right, who hasn't had a peach yet?
Me.
You haven't?
We were checking out a pretty normal looking town called Tabor and noticed that there was a stage being set up. We asked what was going on and found out that there was a busking festival on over the next few days.
Cutting can! Is it square? Is it straight?
Hope so.
Who cares? It's too late.
As soon as we heard the first song start in the distance, we packed some food and hurried up to the square. Here are some clips of the first night's shows.
Football.
Okay, Father, please buy some coke for the children.
Nebo vejde zima, ale hlavně na láska more. Žádná syna. Buď hodnej kluk, hodnej kluk. Uvidíš zlatý prsty. Buď hodnej. Děkujeme panu zvukařovi. Ten je dobrý, to vám každý poví.
We walked back into the village to watch the next day's performers. There were 3 sisters in a band and then we watched some acrobats whose show lasted almost 2 hours. After a few hours of driving, we arrived at a famous town called Cesky Krumlov. We parked on the hill above town and walked down the hill, stopping to watch the brown bears swim in the pool down in the castle moat.
The Cesky Krumlov castle was constructed in 1240 and passed down through the powerful Rosenberg family through till the 16th century. Bears have been kept at the castle since the second half of the 16th century, right up to today. Like Prague, Cesky Krumlov was full of tourists. The bears were huge and brown. We had some delicious traditional ice creams with cones that were like donuts, and we couldn't finish them because they were so massive.
We awoke to a hot air balloon blasting hot air while taking off in the field behind us. After school, we walked back into Cesky Krumlov with our guitars. It started to rain, so we had to stop playing in the middle of a song and run for shelter.
Daniel, what are you cooking there?
Macaroni cheese.
Macaroni cheese. Ooh. Exciting stuff. Fly over. Ooh, okay.
Look!
Sizzle, sizzle.
Look!
Right, so we've left Cesky Krumlov and now we're going down a bit of roadworks at the recommendation of a local who said it's okay, it's just a bit bumpy in a couple of places. I think this is the place.
We walked into Telc and were very surprised to find another festival happening. The square was packed and everybody was drinking big cups of beer, including the nun on the right. We tried a new drink called Kofola. In our favourite supermarket, Lidl, we were very surprised to find some good old New Zealand wine.
Alright guys, what kind of wine do you want for dinner tonight?
Not the Australian stuff. New Zealand wine.
Okay.
It's expensive. It was really hot, and after a day of schoolwork, we walked up into the town. There were some interesting sculptures and a great church up on the hill. We also noticed that there was a castle that actually looked more like a flash house. We had a great view over the city and everything that surrounded it.
Oh, we're riding some bronze whalers.